this.
All
I think
right.
Will should do the intro this time.
I think it should be a quick disclaimer where it's like, okay, we're talking about our addictions, but not like life-altering or changing
Oh,
addictions.
we'll definitely that. Don't worry, I'll make that very clear.
Like,
Okay,
none
so
of us
here's
doing
the thing.
cocaine.
Nate, why would I do the intro when this is on your channel?
Because we got to share the love.
No, this is your channel. Your channel, your intro.
Yeah, but we do the intro on your channel.
And that's because you want an intro.
That's because the people deserve an intro.
They don't. They know. No.
They do.
They better give me a reason to think that they are deserving of me doing extra work for these heathens.
All right. Well, Will has to tell me when we're recording.
We've been recording for over a minute.
I'm actually kind of glad because that's the kind of intro I like. The one where we're arguing about who gets to do the intro. Those are the best types of intros.
Here's the thing. I edit those out of my videos, but you guys can leave them in all you like.
They're amazing. Why would you take them out? This is the whole thing of us being like dumb and chatting with each other, which is great. I love that.
I would want that to be like, for me, the intro is the intro to the video. So you start off there and then you do your bickering from there. I don't know. I have like a set process for intros in my. This is turning out not to be the addiction episode, but actually the intro episode about how we like intros being done.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing. The intro is important on a video, but that's different from like a podcast, man. The best podcasts are the ones where people are just chatting and having a good time because that's the energy that people like to listen to, man. I want to listen to like people having a good time, people like just having an enjoyable camaraderie session. I want to listen to people like being off a road.
Every podcast I listen to, 100%, they have their intro, and then their shenanigans, and then the podcast.
Oh, none of the ones that I talk to or that I listen to that are just like talking. They have an intro, like let's go for example, the Markiplier podcast. He was just talking about it. They have an intro, but it's recorded separately. And it's done by just some like random announcer voice. And then they try to do like an intro, but they're just like ribbing on each other the entire time. And someone's always interrupting it.
So for me, the only podcast I really listen to is the Off Topic podcast. And they're like, Michael gets on that show. He's like, shut up, intro time.
The D&D one I listen to is the DM always tries to do a little flashback at the beginning of every episode, but the players ruin it pretty much every time. And he'll be like, you keep on telling me to do a nice flashback, like, on the last episode, and then you ruin it every time. And I love that, because that just shows that they're actually friends and having a good time. But yeah, we were going to talk about addictions. That was the plan of this episode. We're going to talk about our strange addictions, but not like the TV show Strange Addictions. None of these are actually life-changing addictions. It's more of a joke, like
just cocaine, things like that, the normal stuff, right, Kevin?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's what we're
just some recreational heroin. Nothing nefarious happening here.
Yeah, okay, no, that is not at all what we're talking about. We were talking more about like weird hobbies, I guess would have been a better thing, but they're not really weird. It's just weird that we haven't grown out of them is probably more accurate.
Well, the fact
some of them are not hobbies.
Into one?
Yeah, you're growing into one.
Sorry, we
bad.
dragged you into it.
Yes, I can. I collect everything, which is very obvious from my videos as well with the random stuff that I buy. But I just like to collect things. It kind of runs in the family, though. My grandfather has a coin collection. He has a hockey card collection. He has like really old hunting rifles. He has a banjo. He used to make like wooden toys to sell at like toy fairs. Then my dad has a shop full of just random stuff. It's a family pastime that most of the women in the family hate, especially my mom.
I wonder why.
Yeah, she really doesn't like the fact that we had so much stuff. In fact, she constantly harasses us about some stuff that's left at her house. But I guess like the main collections would have to be like trading cards of many types, and then probably Transformers. But that just barely scratches the surface, man. Like, if I look around me right now... Oh, it's a mess in here.
What was that?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to, while you look around and get your bearings, as we were saying, I'm falling into a collection. Never been a collector. Never collected dick all in my life. Started collecting Pokemon cards. when they're at their highest prices ever. Great idea, great plan. Now I just want to spend all the money on them.
Yeah,
But
you're
do you now
definitely.
see the joys of gambling on card packs?
Yeah, you
do.
do get that nice little rush of endorphins and dopamine when you open the card pack. That's true.
Oh yes. Oh, I very much do. I legit went for a walk today just to see if I could find a place that was selling any card packs near me. I failed, but I did it. Kevin?
Something about opening card packs. It just hits the right side or the right part of my brain just in that special way that makes me feel happy and giddy and makes me go, I can go into work tomorrow. The day's all
Yeah.
right if I can open up card packs. But if there's no card pack, we are in trouble. We have problems.
Yeah.
I'm going to
Yeah.
have problems.
Well, that's the thing.
I need to be happy, damn it.
With card packs, I don't feel bad when I pull a bunk pack because I still got cards.
Yeah.
Like it feels amazing. Like when I pulled the one rainbow rare yesterday. Yeah, yesterday.
Yeah, it was yesterday. It feels like longer, but it was yesterday.
Yeah, when I pulled that rainbow rare, that is amazing. The other two packs didn't really get dick all, but I still got cards, and so I'm still happy with cards.
Yeah, as long as you're not going into it with the intent of trying to
Uh,
make money, that's when the opening card packs becomes destructive and no longer fun. But if you're just opening packs like, I don't care what I get, then you're gonna have a good time. Because like
Yeah.
whatever shiny card you pull, you're like, oh my god, glitter in my eyeballs.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. When you've opened as many card packs as I have, there are definitely times where when you don't pull good stuff, it feels pretty awful.
I can't say that I can relate to that all too well.
You lying sack of garbage. I have literally watched you open 5 booster boxes on a webcam.
Yeah, but I've never been unhappy with what I pull.
Yes, you have.
Okay, that one time with those 2 boxes where statistically speaking we should have got it, and well, stats can go fuck themselves apparently.
Let's not even talk about fricking Ghosts from the Past or whatever the heck it was called.
I think I bought 2 of those, and yeah, I didn't get a ghost rare,
I
but
bought an entire display where you should have gotten 1 ghost and got 0.
Ooh.
So I guess we
That-
should say that our hobby or our addiction is gambling, but gambling for children.
Yeah. As
Alright.
I could not give 2 shits about gambling in a casino. Been there.
No. I mean,
don't
I would
find
do it, which is
enjoyable.
why I don't go.
Yeah, when I'm there, I'll go in with like $50 and be like, okay, I'm going to spend it. I'll gamble a bit. I have no like that need, that want to gamble just does not exist in me.
I don't have a desire to go to a casino, but I know if I went and started gambling, I would probably get hooked, which is why I've never done it. For
That's
that
fair.
exact reason. Considering like when I go to like Castle Fun Park or like the arcade in the mall and I just start playing that coin pusher game and I'm just like I'm enthralled for 2.5 hours. My friends are just sitting there like, can we go home? No, I still have tokens left.
Yeah, it's kind of good
Yeah.
they've removed that from Castle Fun Park now. You can't get enthralled by it anymore.
It was never there. They had Pop the Lock was when I used to play there.
Ah,
It's a great game. All right, so let's just see what do I all have collected in my room at the current moment. I have 1 bookshelf full of manga. I have all of Bleach, which is a bad decision in and of itself. Uh, a couple of other random ones. I have another shelf that is full of just like novels. I collected a whole bunch of random novels. I had at one point I had like all the StarCraft novels, but they got really bad, so I stopped collecting those. I have a whole bunch of really old newspaper comics. I think we talked about those ones in the last one actually, how they were some of them were really like sexist and stuff. A bunch of
Yikes.
Transformers. Oh, they're really old. There's one from Britain where basically a lot of the punchlines have to do with this guy who lives on welfare all the time, is constantly drunk, unemployed, and cheating on his wife / punching her.
oh my.
It was made by someone in Britain in like 1930. It's still the logo for a chip company, surprisingly. I have a whole bunch of newspaper comics, so like that includes like Hagar the Horrible, The Wizard of Id. What's another one? Peanuts. That's a little bit more recognizable. A couple of Garfield, that kind of stuff. Bunch of Transformers. I have some tiny Pokemon Legos. I've got the Final Fantasy Play Arts figures. I've got a huge collection of Extreme Dinosaurs and Street Sharks now because of Caleb, best brother in the world. Some
For
Digimon
now.
toys, a bunch of sealed toys from my childhood. Like I have a Dragon Ball Z capsule thing for Frieza. I have a Soundwave, a Megatron, a Power Ranger, a Digivice, a Gundam Wing Telegeese, a Micro Machine, a bunch of DC comics, a bunch of art books, a shelf of all trading cards, a drawer full of handhelds, a drawer full of Warhammer, and then 2 drawers full of Lego. I think that's pretty much it. Except for the Muppet in the cupboard. We don't talk about him.
You do have that
You
very
sound-
creepy Muppet.
I do have
You
that very
sound
creepy
like you're kind of like a toy store. Like people go to you to buy things.
Muppet. Yeah, I've
stuff you have.
never sell anything. I have a whole bunch of Pat Labor toys as well. Those were hard to get.
Yes, he is the worst kind of toy store.
That's the kind that doesn't sell. Oh, and I have the special edition Lego set of the NES and the Tube TV because it reminded me of my childhood.
Nice.
I love it. I love it so much. So yeah, I just collect everything. That's all. I collect too many things. I had to stop myself from buying like toys. So, like I'll walk to like the dollar store or something, and now it's like, okay, if it's not a blind bag, don't buy it because you just need it for the video. And you put them in the bag, and eventually we give the bag to Value Village.
Full circle.
Yeah.
I'm terrible. I started by putting them in a drawer. The drawer is overfilling. I need to like start emptying it into the bag. Just so many of them. Ah. All right. What about you guys? What kind of weird stuff do you guys do as well?
We'll let Kevin go next as he has his collection.
You're definitely not pandering for time.
For the most part, just one card game. That good old Yu-Gi-Oh.
I never said I collected more than one card game.
No, I think you said you had multiple.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Nathaniel, go back in time, replay the footage. Thanks.
I refuse. And future me refuses as well. We're gonna have text across the screen right now where I concur with myself. Thank you.
It's a 1 versus 2. I didn't factor in future Nathaniel into this argument.
Future Nathaniel's on my side. And then we're watching the video and it's like future Nathaniel's like, screw past Nathaniel. He made bad decisions and I feel awful right now.
Yo, past Nathaniel, fuck that guy. He's the reason I'm hurting now.
Yeah, I told him. Yeah.
So the real thing that's going to happen is future Nathaniel's going to laugh at this and go, fuck that, I'm not editing that. You expect me to do work?
Yeah, but see, the thing is I'm going to put something in there. It's either going to be, I ain't editing shit, or it's going to be like, I concur with past Nathaniel even if he is an asshole, or something along those lines.
No, we're going to go full circle. You're going to hit me with the J. Jonah Jameson now.
Yeah. Oh, I also remembered I actually have my own coin collection as well, just to throw that in there. I was reminded because for my birthday one year, my aunt got me the Canadian Mint made an Optimus Prime quarter that has a lenticular Optimus Prime on the front that transforms from truck into robot. Awesome.
That's pretty awesome.
It is awesome. Thank you, Canadian Mint. I'm not sure why, but that's amazing. And I have a piece of chaff.
A piece of what?
Chaff. It's like a lead bullet that was used to shoot missiles that were coming towards aircraft carriers.
Fun.
Yeah, it just kind of sits on my shelf. Got that when I was like 12 from my uncle, who is just as eclectic as I am. But he has like old soda machines and stuff littering his property as opposed to toys. And a stuffed vulture hanging from his ceiling.
Well, it's the rational thing to have.
Agreed. But we've already gone back to me, and because we were talking about past Nathaniel and Kevin.
Okay. Yeah. So, cards good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Card game addiction.
Yeah.
Brain thing we were talking about before. I got a myriad of swords.
I was gonna say if you didn't mention the swords, I was gonna bring them up.
Yeah, I know you would. So I'm pretty sure the people at the Anime Evolution Revolution think I'm psychotic, or at least the the commuters when I walk into the SkyTrain with a big ass fucking box, and they go, "What's in the box?" And I just look at them and go, "A sword." Um,
Yeah, yeah. I
so-
always forget that you take transit to get there. I'm pretty sure the last couple of years I went, I was still working at the Vancouver ports, so we had parking. But yeah, no, that must be crazy. Taking a sword back on the SkyTrain.
well, I mean, you've seen a couple of them, right? Like, I mean, I have the Lich King sword.
Yep,
So that was in a massive box.
I bet.
Uh, when we brought back my brother's Zweihander, that thing is like it's like 6 feet tall. So the box was like 7 feet. So we just had this like giant fucking box in this the SkyTrain.
Yep.
That's always fun bringing back weapons back from Anime Revolution. Let's see what swords as I have though. I got two master swords. The first one I got had a plastic hilt, and I mean I liked it. It was based off the Ocarina of Time master sword, but I was like plastic hilt. That's lame. So I found one on I think it was Amazon. Found another master sword that had like an actual like wooden and metal hilt. So now I have two
Yeah,
of that.
yeah,
The aforementioned Lich King sword. I got the what other crazy ass weapons? Got batarangs.
yep.
Uh, Witcher sword, the iron one. I don't know, but bunch of swords and like weird hatchets and machetes and
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever been. Will's been here, but I don't think you've ever been here. Bianca's Liquidation World, by my house. Will used to live near where I live now. It's a warehouse that sells off. Basically, they sell off warehouse clearouts and just rip off stuff. They used to have a counter that was all just replica weapons, and they had a whole bunch of anime and video game swords. They had that same master sword with a plastic handle. I think we bought it for my cousin. It was like $40. It's not bad, but yeah, the plastic handle is kind of like meh. I have the two bleach swords that are somewhere buried behind my desk. They've not seen the light of day in years.
oh, you got the sushi sword.
Yeah, I got the sushi sword and the first iteration of his Bankai. Back before it got all fancy. Back when it was just like the Buddha symbol guard that was just like normal looking, not when it becomes like all spiky and stuff.
Oh, was that the one after the full bring?
I'm pretty sure before the full ring even he had it became all like spiky and garbage. Back when he went to fight like Aizen, I'm pretty sure he had
I
a
have
different looking Zangetsu.
no idea. No idea. It's
It's,
been a long time since I watched it.
I've only really read it, so I know his sword goes through a couple. Doesn't matter. It's the first one, the one that literally is really boring and looks just like a normal samurai sword. Slightly racist one if you like luck symbol, which very few people do. Well, I guess actually a lot more people know now because of anime, but
Yeah, it's become a lot more of a popular just notion.
Well, it's
yeah,
now mainstream. It's not the weird thing that the weirdos watch online because it's all
yeah.
got that. Because people look at anime and the first thing they see is either like some super sexified, scantily clad woman. And they're just like, "Oh, that's why you watch it." I was like, "No, no, 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 no! It's not like
It's
this
for
all the time. I'm sorry."
you see. Here's the problem. That was an excuse people used to always use, though. It's like, why are you reading that magazine? I only read it for the articles. It's the same
Oh,
as like, why do you watch anime? I only watch it for the plot.
yep, those huge tracks of plot.
Yeah,
I can't help that the plot jiggles. Okay.
the plot's all over the place. I love it when the plot is exposed. What? Euphemisms for someone exposing their breasts. Moving on. Um, that distracted me fully,
I
and my brain is
like
stopped at that. What's go ahead?
I like that I had nothing to do with that going to a dirty place. For once,
It's
I wasn't the one who brought you
it's,
all down.
it just made me laugh when he was like, "It's not always like this." It's just reminded me of the whole. I only do it for the articles. The articles.
Good old Rab.
The
The
good old
only
Rab. That joke just actually almost killed me when we saw that. But that reminded me, Bianca's used to be the best place ever. I loved going there because I used to have like, this was back when DVDs were just beginning to be like slightly phased out, but everyone was still releasing DVDs for everything. Like it was, I don't know if you remember, but there was a time when like every single series that had ever come out was coming out on DVD, just like nonstop. There was DVD releases. It was
Not
like,
really, no.
I guess you never really went to DVDs, but like shortly after Blu-ray, there was a time when like the, people finally realized that nostalgia for our generation was just like a free moneymaker. So everything started getting DVD releases. But a lot of series aren't as popular as people seem to think they are. So they would just get like overproduced and they would end up at like these warehouse places. So we would go there, look at the swords, and then I would look at the DVDs and I would buy like seasons of the Jetsons, seasons of Voltron, just random seasons of different cartoon series and stuff like that, which is also why I have about 200 DVDs now. But the place has changed quite a lot since then. Their weapons counter is quite small. They mostly just have knives and things. They have a couple of replica weapons, but nothing like they used to have. They have 0 DVDs now. They're actually almost a grocery store at this point. They have like 2 whole aisles of like food and like condiments and stuff. And they actually had, the last time I went there, it looked like maybe a game store or something must have gone out of stock or something. Like they must have either just had too much or they went out of business because their aisle was just full of name brand board games. Like I'm used to them having rip-off stuff, but they had like Pokemon Monopoly, they had Ticket to Ride, they had Keyforge starters, they had a whole bunch of other just like really expensive board games for like $30 or less, just tons of them. And I was super surprised. I kind of wish I had bought Ticket to Ride, but I just grabbed the Pokemon Monopoly. But yeah, no, that was pretty cool. I love stuff like that. This is part of the problem was I love to buy things that are on sale.
Not a good habit to have, but as
Used to
someone who's a habitual stress buyer,
yeah,
I
yeah.
can't fault you on that one.
Almost as damaging as stress eating, but
Oh, don't worry, I also stress eat. I generally stress
I know,
buy
that's the
food.
thing. I mean, you used to come with me to Value Village all the time. Back when there was Value Villages all over Surrey, we used to go there like once a week just to look for cool old stuff.
We would actually
Now
find cool old stuff.
Before Value Village started price checking everything.
Yeah, it's not worth going to them now. They'll be like, oh yeah, I want basically full price for this. No, fuck you.
Yeah, you got
This
it
is
for
Value
free.
Village.
Well, see, the problem is that, and this is the thing that I always come back to, Value Village is not a charity. They are a profit organization. People think that they're a charity because they give money to charity, but they are in fact not a charitable organization.
Nope.
Same as Talese. Talese and Value Village are both businesses, not charities. Whereas if you go to like the Salvation Army or one of the smaller like standalone thrift stores, they are normally actually not for profits. And they normally do not jack up the prices. They will put some more higher end things behind a counter and they'll charge you a little bit more, but they're not going to charge you retail.
Yeah. My issue is that Value Village now tries to charge retail, especially for obviously old or crap things. And it's like, dude, really? You're joking here.
The funny thing is, Value Village does check prices, but they don't do it on everything, which is the good thing. There's some things that they just never seem to think about checking. Like you can sometimes find in the toy section, like really expensive like anime figures and stuff, because if the right person isn't working, they have no idea what they are. They just put them on the toy shelf for like $2. Like I have found some like retro Digimon toys. I found some retro Transformers. It just depends on who's sorting toys. I found some rare books. I found some rare DVDs, some rare like music. That kind of stuff you can still find like randomly. But like video games, no, they always check it. Old electronics, they pretty much always check it. I've gotten really lucky with cards actually. Kevin, what was the name of that tournament that they used to run in the Lower Mainland that wasn't an official one where they gave up mats?
The MST series.
That's the one. When I went to Vancouver Island and looked at the Value Village there, I found one of their winner mats at Value Village and I picked up for $5. It was the Trishula one.
Legendary.
Yeah, I found that and a One Piece mat. And then I wanted to look. They had a giant box of Yu-Gi-Oh cards behind the counter. And I wanted to look at it, but my aunt and uncle were like, no, we have to leave. We don't have time. I'm like, but I need to know what's in it. And I, to this day, I sometimes remember it and get stressed out because I don't know what was in it.
Okay, that's a level too far. You shouldn't be getting stressed out because you don't know what was in it.
But it could have been good.
It probably was.
Chances
a bunch of
are
really
it was
good
bad.
things.
I don't know, man. That was a winner, man. He was good. He had an MST mat.
Yeah, there's been a few times
even.
that I can look back and kick myself over. Like where people were selling all kinds of old things that I now know are worth a lot, and I should have bought at garage sales and just didn't at the time because it didn't have the interest or the knowledge.
I used to love driving down to Bellingham when we would go down to the States there, stopping at all the value villages over there. Because I was like, oh, a new picking ground. And I would always find good stuff there. Like, there wasn't a time we've gone to the value village over in the States where I haven't found something that is, like, amazingly rare over here. And I'm like, oh, this is amazing. But I mean, I guess...
I was just gonna say that's very lucky because
Well, it used to be if you went to the Dollar Tree over there too, you'd find like retro Yu-Gi-Oh packs for $1. I bought a whole bunch of first edition Spanish Metal Raiders one time. I think I picked up like 30 packs and I pulled a Solemn Judgment. It was
Solid.
awesome. Yeah, it was so awesome. I was like, it's in Spanish, but who cares? I think we also bought I think I also bought like some 25-cent pack of 8 hot dogs. The States is a wonderful place.
I don't know if I could trust a pack of hot dogs that only cost me $0.25.
Yeah, no, it was like 75% off. And I like looked at it and I was like, that's a lot of hot dogs for like 50 cents, Dad. And he's like, son, I don't think you should. I'm gonna try them. They were actually really good. But I bet you there was no food in that at all. It was all sawdust and seasoning.
If you were to eat that pack now,
oh, I would die.
I don't think you would survive.
It was really funny because we used to go to the Dollar Tree when we went over there all the time. We'd get like a gallon of the Arizona sweet tea. We'd go to the meat section and they had these ribeye steaks for $1. But before you get excited, they were about 2 centimeters thick. But basically, if you fried them, they would become like breakfast steak bacon. So we would buy like 20 of them.
Breakfast steak bacon.
Mostly just because you fried it as if it was bacon because they were so thin. They were like ribeye steaks, so they were beef, but they were so thin that you just fried them like bacon, and they were quite good. But obviously, they were like there was no meat on them. They were just they cut them as thin as salami.
Damn.
So we used to buy a bunch of those because my dad really liked them with eggs because it was like steak and eggs, but like cheap.
Well, like bacon and eggs.
Yeah, but it didn't taste the same as bacon. This is the thing. It tasted like, beef. They were nice, but there was not much to them. I also used to buy a bunch of books and stuff for this. Maybe here and there. Kevin, once again, we leave you silent because we talk too much. Regale us with the interestingness that is you.
So like the crap I waste my money on.
Yeah. Sure.
Let's see here. Oh, I got just checking around my room now. I picked up the Super Nintendo Classic. So, I was down for that.
Dude, that's sick. I didn't even know you had that.
Yeah, it's got like I think was it 20 games?
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Nice.
I'm still waiting for them to eventually make a Nintendo or a Nintendo 64 Classic. Will probably never happen, but take my goddamn money.
Exactly.
I got the Kanto gym badges.
Oh, that's nice.
I picked that up from one of my many trips to one of those 2 conventions.
Did you get the Dragon Ball too?
Yeah, I got a set of Dragon Balls.
Yeah.
Damn.
What else do I got here? Hylian Shield, the Hollow Mask, the Longbow, Airsoft.
So a lot of anime memorabilia for sure.
Yeah, so it's almost like I go to anime conventions.
Yes.
Oh, I got that weird claw thing. That came within 1 day of me ordering it. I managed to get what a world we live in. I managed to ship effectively a gauntlet with 3 claws sticking out of it from another country. It goes past like customs borders to my house within a day.
And yeah, I get charged 50% the price of some plastic terrain in duty when I order it for a friend's birthday.
Man, I ordered Pokemon cards from the other side of the country, and it's going to take a week and a half to get here.
They got their priorities straight.
Yeah,
Clearly.
Jeez.
Send this man his weapon.
You know, one hobby that you have that I actually think was when we actually started hanging out more was D&D. I was talking to my brother and I was like, I don't remember when me and Kevin went from being like Yu-Gi-Oh apprentice, like acquaintances to friends. And he's like, you started going to Evan's house for D&D. I'm like, was that it?
Might have been it.
So your friendship is all based on D&D.
No, it started with Yu-Gi-Oh, but we started hanging out, I think, because of D&D. Because I think what it was I'm pretty sure what it was you were like, hey man, we need more people for D&D. And I was like, I think I was hanging out with Vince, actually, at the time. But I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember. We just suddenly became like really good friends randomly.
Here's the thing, Nate. You say you were friends because of Yu-Gi-Oh, but that means that you consider Yu-Gi-Oh guys your friends. Which, is that even true?
All of them? Why are you attacking me?
I'm
Why does this
attacking the
suddenly
Yu-Gi-Oh
sound like an
boys.
intervention?
I'm attacking the Yu-Gi-Oh boys because they're not your friends. They're Yu-Gi-Oh boys, right, Kevin?
Yeah, I mean 80% of the Yu-Gi-Oh community is fucking garbage.
I wouldn't have put it quite so strongly, but
Okay, no, when you gotta make rules to get people to wash the smelly asses, okay, that's the only goddamn card game that has enforced the rule, meaning it has gotten that bad. Other card games might be bad. Yu-Gi-Oh was bad enough they had to fucking enforce it.
It is kind of horrifying that they actually have a rule. For those of you who don't play Yu-Gi-Oh, if you go to a Yu-Gi-Oh event and the judge thinks that you stink, you automatically lose. Because Yu-Gi-Oh players are notorious for being unwashed masses.
So here's the thing. The reason I'm getting into card collecting now and not when I'm younger is specifically because I went to card shops and met the Yu-Gi-Oh crowd and decided, fuck this noise, I'm dropping collecting cards. Because long time ago, my Uncle Pete bought me some Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and I had started getting into Yu-Gi-Oh cards. And then I met Yu-Gi-Oh players, and I got out of all collectible card games for about like 15 years.
I mean, it is fair that there was some pretty awful card game players. But you know what's weird? I don't remember the smell. My brother, time he would come to get me from the card game store, it almost, I don't remember noticing it. Did I just get used to it?
Yes,
Probably.
You became nose deaf to it, 100%.
That's so weird, dude. Like, I don't understand how that can happen.
Well, see what happens is if you've noticed, each card game will have its general age audience.
Yes.
So Pokemon is got actual children, like 12-year-olds. They're actual kids playing a card game. And then you got the Pokedads, because they took their kids to the card shop. They go, you know what? I'll play too, have something to interact with my kid, bonding, all that stuff. And they go, wait, I actually like this. And so they start playing it.
Well,
They enjoy it.
nowadays, they're nostalgic for the old games when they were kids, right?
True.
It's super funny to me too, yeah. Yeah, no,
And then you got the most volatile of all the card game groups, Yu-Gi-Oh players, which is anywhere from like teenager, like 17, 18 to like young adult, like 23, 24. That's your general age group of the game. So it's infinitely more volatile. It's just got teenagers and your young adults. I mean, need I say more?
What's interesting to me is I don't actually but it feels to me like there's a lot of most card games seem to be run by much older people now. It's all the people who were playing card games back in the 90s and the early 2000s are still playing them. I don't know if there's a lot of new players. Is there a lot of new players in card games? Because like I play Dragon Ball and I've been playing in a lot of online regionals. I have not met anyone under like 25 playing the card game.
It's a lot harder of a sell these days to get
Yeah.
kids into card games that aren't digital, right?
Well, even then, like it's such a weird thing to me because like they're children's card games for ages 6 and up. But I've never actually seen kids play any card game besides Pokemon.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think they're having a hard time drawing in a new audience because they're just trying to keep their already core audience happy, and 9 times out of 10 they fail at that. So
oh
they're
yeah.
too busy trying to keep people from leaving while trying instead of trying to get new people in.
Well, I think part of the problem is that the card games are just so complicated now too. Like,
That's
if
fair.
you look at Yu-Gi-Oh, you have to have like reading comprehension to read one card. And
Or
then you
they
have to
word things
remember
poorly.
well, and you have to remember the interaction of all of the different cards in the game. Like, I mean, if you went back to base Yu-Gi-Oh, like set one, anyone could pick up that game. Easy, easy, easy. Which is why I think they tried for Speed Duel. I think Speed Duel was Konami's way of trying to get like kids to play the game again because it brought the game back to an early start. There wasn't that many effects. It's really easy to play, but it just didn't work because those aren't the people who play card games anymore. Pokemon is
Well,
in a special area for card games because like kids like to collect Pokemon still.
that's the thing is Pokemon is unique in that aspect. The people, it also has the video games and all of that fitting back into it. Another thing is one of the main reasons I'm into Pokemon rather than any other card game is the web app. The web app on Pokemon is not rivaled by anyone, not even close. The
None
fact
of
that
the
I
other
can,
ones have a digital game too. That's the problem.
some of them do. The Digimon one has a digital game, but it's the bare bones. You can only use a couple of the decks, and you can only play against a couple bots. Where the Pokemon game is, you get 99.9% of all of Pokemon just digitally. You can earn packs the slow way that are digital packs the slow way. You can play it almost like you would play like Hearthstone. But I can also then go out to the store, buy cards for my real collection, and get more cards in that game. Like the integration with that is so fucking well done. If other card games like Yu-Gi-Oh, Dragon Ball, or any of these other ones had an app even remotely close to how good this is, I feel they would get more new players. As
Well,
the
and that's
Pokemon
the
app taught
problem.
me Pokemon,
Yeah.
and it taught me Pokemon in a way that I could be annoyed when I wasn't figuring shit out, but still not feel bad because I'm with my friends that I'm losing, or I'm with random people that I'm losing. It was just such a good way to learn.
Well, that's kind of the problem with a lot of the other ones because Bandai has one for Digimon and Dragon Ball, but that's not really. I don't really count that because it's literally just a tutorial app, which is why it only has a couple of decks for you to choose from. It just wants you to learn how to play the game. It doesn't want you to like play the game digitally. They want you to learn to play it digitally and then go buy the real cards and continue to buy the real cards. They don't want. They actually tried to close all of the online projects that were made by like third parties so that people could test out decks on the game, which I think is such a bad idea
Yeah, it's really poor leadership.
because people are playing the digital game so that they can test decks that are not out yet so that they can go and buy the new product. It's literally like free advertising.
It's free advertising, and there's going to be people like me who I'm not really one for going to a room and playing with a bunch of random people. I'd rather just play at my own pace, at my own time, on my own schedule at home.
Well, and the problem, see, I know the Pokemon one is great, but I actually prefer it when there's something that has every card available in the entire database. And I can just make a deck, which is why Kevin, you were around for Dueling Network in its heyday.
Yeah, that
Like
was a good
Dueling
time.
Network was an
Yeah, yeah.
amazing thing.
Well, okay, it was amazing in that regards, but at the same time, having to manually do everything led to a lot of ridiculous moments where you would do something and then your opponent would say you can't do something because it's against the rules. So then you have these disputes, you gotta wait for admins. That was my biggest gripe with that site was
That did definitely happen a lot, and then usually the person who actually won was the person who waited it out.
well, yeah,
Um,
'cause you'd have to wait an hour.
so
Yeah.
that also works really well if you're like good at the game and you know what you're doing. If you're like me, someone who's first coming in to learn, that many cards is overwhelming. It's overwhelming, it's awful, and it makes me want to play the game less.
Whereas paralysis, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I mean,
whereas
the problem is that Yu-Gi-Oh is also a game that has never had a set rotation, so the amount of knowledge you need in order to play Yu-Gi-Oh is massive. Like you can play the game but you're not going to know you're not going to get very far beyond casual play if you don't know what your opponents are playing and you don't know the matchups.
Yes.
You could potentially cheese it though if you were wanting to play without much knowledge, because that's kind of what I do. I just I just
You
play
still
the
have a relatively good working knowledge of all of the cards that are out there.
current ones, not so much. It's literally just super aggressive beat down, right? Like I don't have to know what my deck does. Sorry, I don't know. I don't know. I don't need to know how your deck works. I just need to know how mine works. That's probably your best like way to get into the game to like then, because I feel like more people are going to grasp the game better by playing it and visually seeing what's happening and have someone like there to explain it to them as they're
I mean, I
playing.
agree. I agree
So
for
like I feel like if someone is actually wanting to play games, they have to play the deck they don't necessarily want to play with a very simplistic game style. So then you can learn more things and they kind of naturally learn it rather than have someone sit down and give you a 2 hour lecture on how to summon a blue eyes.
Oh, for sure. The thing is though that you still know which generic counterplay card you know what kind of thing stops your deck, so you know what kind of counters to play against such effects. What because you've also played the same deck for like what 5 years?
Uh, yeah, maybe even longer.
Yeah, so you already like you have a pretty good idea of what's going to derail your playing. So it gives you an idea of like you don't necessarily need to know what cards, you need to know what kind of things could stop you, and like that definitely helps. But I know what you mean. Like it's something my friend always tells me in Dragon Ball. He's like, Nathaniel, just pick one deck, play the crap out of it, and then it doesn't really matter what the other people are playing because you know what your deck does.
Yeah, but you have to really, really love that deck in order to like
Which
commit
is the
that hard
problem.
to it.
And I just my favorite part of like these kinds of card games is always making decks on themes. It's not usually even the playing, it's making the decks. Because like that's why I have so many card games, because it's like for Final Fantasy. I made a Final Fantasy Tactics deck because I love the art from that game and all of the cards have the art from that game. So I just literally went on to Troll and Toad and bought like a playset of all of the tactics cards and made a deck.
I know your pain with that. I am super indecisive. I cannot stick to one thing forever. I need variation or I get bored super fast.
Well, and plus I've always found like I like we were actually talking about this the other day, me and Kevin, alternate win conditions in games or like fun interactions. Excuse me. So normally in a card game, there's one way to win every time. Like Yu-Gi-Oh, you knock your opponent's life points down to 0. Dragon Ball, they pick up all of their life cards. Pokemon, you pick
Prize
up all of your
cards.
prizes, I think.
Either
Yeah,
you
you
pick
pick
up
up
all your prize cards or you kill every Pokemon on the enemy's bench and they have none on their bench to swap in.
yeah. So there's always, but then there's alternate win conditions. Like in Yu-Gi-Oh, there's the mill deck where you mill out your opponent's deck because you lose if you have no cards to draw. Or Exodia, you have all 5 pieces of Exodia, you automatically win. Final Countdown, if you can stall for 20 turns, you win. Stuff like that. That stuff is really fun, and it's awful with Dragon Ball because Dragon Ball, one of the things that they do well compared to a lot of other things that they do poorly is that their decks are usually themed around the character and they try to make it work off of what's happening with the character in that part of the thing. So like my favorite one that I'll always go back to is the example of the Goku deck where when Krillin is in your graveyard, he gets more power because it's the card art is him being normal Goku on Namek, and then the other side, when the leader is awakened, is when he first goes Super Saiyan. And I love the fact that the whole point of the deck is Krillin has to die to unlock your Goku's power. Oh, I love that so
That's
much.
fair and very funny. I do like things like that. I also prefer decks or any sort of card game where they're not hyper aggression isn't the only way to play, because I don't actually like hyper aggressive card games. Like when I say I play Pokemon, I basically play these theme decks only because hyper aggression just doesn't exist in those theme decks for the most part. So you actually have to spend a lot more time thinking about things, building up, and doing it all that way. You can't really just.
Yeah.
Face
Well, see, the
slap them.
issue I have with Pokemon as a card game is Pokemon is a card game that has no interactions. It's your turn and then your opponent's turn. It's more like a game of chess than it is an RTS like most other card games are. You each get a turn and you can't do anything on your opponent's turn. Whereas like Dragon Ball, Yu-Gi-Oh, you get to set traps, you have counterplays, you have negates, you've got quick play spells, you've got all these different things that you can do on your opponent's turn to stop them from doing things. I kind of like that interaction because it definitely makes the game a little bit more involved and gives you different strategies. But with Pokemon, like you say, it is a little bit slower because of that. But I do like how if they would just stop with the power creep, because Yu-Gi-Oh and Dragon Ball are both notorious for the amount of power creep they have. Like there is room for other strategies, but they kind of falls into the whole trap of they want people to buy the next set, so the cards in the next set have to be better than the cards in the current set, so that people are forced to move on to the new set in order to buy more product, which
Yeah.
inevitably leads to the game continuously speeding up. And then they've been trying really hard to drag it back in Dragon Ball. So like, oh no, we've sped it up too fast. Quickly, ban everything, ban everything.
And that just feels really bad.
Yeah, it does for the people who wasted hundreds of dollars on the really broken stuff, and then it gets ban hammered. But to be fair, I don't like the card game when it's that fast. I don't mind if there's an aggro deck. That's fine. But an aggro deck is supposed to give up defense. It's supposed to be aggressive, kill you quickly, and if it doesn't kill you, it loses. That's how an aggressive deck is supposed to work. An aggressive deck should not also be a control deck.
Yeah, it shouldn't double dip.
No. Like Beerus deck, my favorite Dragon Ball deck, I have to get to 12 energy before I can even hope to win. Like, it's slow. I have to negate a lot of attacks. But the payoff is big. I give up all of my aggression in order to gain resources to win. It should be the exact reverse for an aggressive deck, but that's not usually how it ends up. And to be honest, part of the problem is that card players are really good at playing card games. So they're going to think of interactions that the design teams for any game are not going to be able to think of.
Yep.
Which and especially in a game like Yu-Gi-Oh or Dragon Ball where they don't have set rotation. And it's especially bad in Yu-Gi-Oh because Yu-Gi-Oh probably has like, what do you think? 40,000 cards now?
Oh, probably more.
What was that dragon that recently came out that was a couple $100? 20,000 dragon, 10,000 dragon, or something like
Yeah, it
that?
was like 10,000 Dragon. It was like a new version of the card Joey made in the show with Time Wizard and Baby Dragon.
Yeah, 10,000 dragon was the 10,000th Yu-Gi-Oh card printed, and that was like last year. So
Oh,
there's
was it?
more
Oh,
than,
okay.
yeah, so there's more than 10,000 cards in rotation.
Yeah, and at that point, that breaks it. I am hit and miss on rotation. Like, Pokemon has rotation, and part of me likes that, part of me hates it, but I can see what happens if you don't have any sort of rotation, like Yu-Gi-Oh! There's no way you can properly balance that. You're in a death spiral at that point. It's going to, after this many years.
Well, Yu-Gi-Oh actually does a fairly good job because they release regular ban lists, and they usually do 2 ban lists a year. And their ban lists will hit decks that are overperforming and boost decks that are underperforming. And it's normally okay. There was a couple of years where this would have been back when me and Kevin were playing more often, where it was like a 2 or 3 deck format, and there was quite a few of those formats. That was when the game was not doing as well. Where if you weren't playing those 3 decks, you weren't topping.
Yeah.
But from what I understand, it's doing a lot better now. Set rotation is great if you want to keep the card game slow. Because then they don't have to keep on making better and better cards. They just have to make different cards. Because the old cards aren't there, they don't have to make them better than the old cards. They just have to either make them on par or different.
Yes.
That is the plus to rotation. The downside is your cards become worthless.
Yeah, your cards are. It goes far heavier on the collectible aspect which
And that worked for
Pokemon does.
Pokemon, but it doesn't really work for other card games.
Yeah, it's definitely not a one size fits all kind of thing.
And I do it also does it also limits the creativity to a certain extent. Because at least with Yu-Gi-Oh, Dragon Ball, you can still play older decks. It's a little bit better in Dragon Ball than it is in Yu-Gi-Oh, just because in Yu-Gi-Oh some of the old decks, no matter what you do to them, are always going to be garbage because there's just no way to catch them up without completely remaking them.
Well,
Some decks that's not the case.
One very interesting thing is that's actually the case in Pokemon as well. Even with their rotation, like if you play unlimited, you can't play older cards really in unlimited. You can play a couple older cards, but a lot of them have power creeped out of reality to the point where they're useless.
Oh, for sure. The nice thing about Dragon Ball, which is what I like about games that have this color system, it was the same thing with Kaijudo. Because colors are such a generic way to do energy, old cards will always have some amount of relevance just based off of their color if their effect is even somewhat decent. And because of how the card game revolves around like character names and character traits, some cards that seem awful now become good later. And the same thing happens in Yu-Gi-Oh! A card that was garbage before is now like a $40 common card because it interacted with a new deck in a way that no one could foresee in the future.
Yeah, that's happened a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. Thank you, Substitute.
Yeah.
Hanawada goes from 50 cents to $15 overnight.
Yeah, yeah. That's one of the things about having an open format is some old cards that have no good effect whatsoever just become amazing. And it's always really funny when it happens with a card that used to be completely worthless, or vice versa. They'll have like a card that's like $200 and then it's just dead the next set and you're like, wow, that's cool.
Yeah, that's fair. And one thing against Pokemon in general is since it's very much, Pokemon related, the health and abilities of a Pokemon are so important and so integral that because your Pokemon just isn't going to do that well, like if you look at the older Pokemon, having 100 HP was a big deal. A lot of them didn't have 100 HP.
Yeah.
Where now there's a lot of base level Pokemon with 100 HP or more, and attacks that are doing 80 HP of damage. It's like, well, now all the older Pokemon, they can't do diddly squat.
There's a lot of stuff in Pokemon that I hate. Like I just opened some Pokemon today. Look forward to that in a future video. Haha. It's gonna come out way before this does. But there's a lot, like basic Pokemon are garbage. Like I've noticed when I open the packs, almost anything that's not a GX, or I guess they're not GXs even anymore. What are they called now? VMAXs?
Well, it's a V
are
and VMAX.
Essentially unplayable. You have like one or two that will have a Pokemon power that you continuously leave on your bench, but they're trash.
There are some good ones. For example, generally Snorlax cards are great. They do okay-ish damage and have a whack load of health. For a basic card, they are like a gold star quite often.
It's just like when I open Pokemon, it feels like even when I pull a foil, it's worth nothing. Like I like the designs on the cards, and some of them are really nice. But I do feel like Pokemon is one of those games where the value is limited. Like the value in a set is limited to like less than 5% of the set.
Nope, that's fair. There is a lot, and I mean a lot of 1-cent Pokemon cards.
Yeah, it feels really bad. You open a pack and like, because you got that Rainbow Rare yesterday. A Rainbow Rare is like the same statistics as a Secret Rare in Dragon Ball, which is like 2 per case.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
And it's worth $10.
Yep.
Like, that feels awful. That does bug me. Not as bad as
That's
in go ahead.
well, I was just gonna say that's another important thing to note is Pokemon has so many kinds of rare cards, right?
I hate the fact that they introduce secret rares, rainbow rares, full arts. Sometimes they have gold ones as well.
Yep.
Like
Golds, they have shinies, they have like 3 other kinds. They are very, very varied, and like here's about 14 different ways you can get a rare.
also rainbow rares are ugly as sin. I hate them.
There are some of them that look pretty decent, but a lot of them are pretty awful.
I don't like them.
I wish Yu-Gi-Oh did full arts like Pokemon, because god damn, some of those full arts look
I'm
tight.
not gonna lie.
Oh, I love
One of
full
the things
arts.
that dragged me into Dragon Ball was how nice some of the cards look, because they have their version of full arts in Dragon Ball. They call them SPRs, which is special rares. They're so nice. It's the exact same thing. It's the same card with different art and texture. Oh man, they're so pretty.
Yeah, I love full arts so much. Full arts are what really make the set for me.
Yeah, Pokemon has some very pretty cards. I do like some of the older ones as well. Like, I like the old foiling as well, but man, nothing beats a nice full art. Something that I do hate is in Dragon Ball they have this thing called a God Pack. It's 1 per case. No, it's 2 per case, same as the secret rares. It's a pack of all foils, which sounds great, right? But every time I get one of those, I'm like, you could have been a secret rare. Because it has the same pull ratio. But the problem is, even if the set is really good, because you get, I think, 3 ultra rares and then a bunch of just regular foils in the pack. So even if all of the ultra rares in the set are money, like $50 for one of them, $30 for one, 20 for the other, you still would have made more with a secret rare no matter what. Because the secret rares are like always like minimum $100, usually closer to 300. So every time I open a God Pack, it's like I just lost $100.
Yeah, where in Pokemon you don't really get cards that are worth $300 unless something insane has happened.
No, you do. You do. Pretty much every set has one that's worth about that much, but it's usually either a secret rare or a Charizard card.
It's always a Charizard card.
It's always a Charizard card.
Like,
actually, Kevin was watching me open a box of Dragon Ball on webcam, and the second pack was a God Pack. And I'm just like, oh, there's nothing good left in this box. I have 22 packs left to open. Well, this is depressing.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I've also come around to share your opinion with Pokemon cards, where whether or not the card is green or not is balls. I wish they would just not have that. I'm just not going to look at those cards going forward, because knowing beforehand that, oh yeah, I've just got a bunk pack sucks balls.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, if Pokemon packs have a code card in the back that you used to play the digital card game like he was talking about, a while back they changed it so that if the pack has a foil, it gets a white code card, which is thinner cardstock, so that the other packs that don't have a foil have thicker cardstock on the card pack, so that they're equivalent weights, so it's harder for people to weigh packs and open them. However, this means when you open the pack, if you see the color of the code card, you know if you got something good or not.
And so yeah, on the one hand, it's like, oh, I've got something good, but on the other hand, it's like, well, I know I did not get something good, and that's just balls.
The problem with that, the white code doesn't actually mean you got something good, because you could have just gotten a regular foil, like I did
love
today.
Look, I love regular foils, right?
I know, but
monetarily, commons.
A regular foil will never be worth more than like $10 maximum, so it's still always a loss.
That's fine. I'm not doing it for money, so I'm okay with that. I'm
aware,
okay.
But I'm just talking about from the perspective of card values. You still lost if you didn't get at least a VMAX.
I guess, yeah, that is fair. I just like them.
Yeah. I don't know, man. We were starting with talking about weird hobbies and addictions, and now we've just been talking about card games for the last like 20 minutes.
A bit more than 20 minutes.
It's been just a couple.
But yeah, so cards are fun.
Yeah, just before we end here, I'd like to just talk about a hobby that I hate and I think should never become a thing. Freaking pop finals. I hate those soulless, dead-eyed bastards.
Oh, so you know what's very funny?
What's that?
There's a YouTuber I watch who shares your opinion of pop files. He hates the damn things. And so what does he do whenever a fan sends him one? You just watch him mutilate the damn things when he's doing unboxing videos. He'll just pop it out, rip the head off, whip out a knife, start stabbing through it.
They're so
It's
ugly.
great.
I hate them so much. I literally have one pop vinyl that my brother got me, and it is the Sharknado pop vinyl. And it actually looks kind of like a scented candle, which is part of the reason why I like it. Because basically all it is it's a tornado with a shark around the outside, but the way that the tornado is coming out of the shark's head looks like the rim of a scented candle. So it looks like a shark-flavored scented candle. It is like one of the only pop vinyls I've ever seen that doesn't look like absolute ass. The Big Daddy also looks okay, but that's because it doesn't have eyes. And a couple of the Pokemon ones look okay because they're already chibis.
Oh yeah, it's
But
Pokemon.
9 times out of 10, if I was to grab for you one of the generic like action hero pop finals, there's no way you'd be able to guess what character it's supposed to be. The human ones, if it's a character from like NCIS or something like that, it's just a generic human shape.
Yeah.
They have no costume to identify them. What is this garbage?
I like pop vinyls. I have a decent sized collection.
Ugh.
I am pretty specific about which ones I want, but
Garbage. Kevin, what do you think about pop finals?
I'm pretty neutral with them. I think I might have one. Oh yeah, it's over there. My brother bought me one for Christmas one day. I'm kind of neutral with them. If you like collecting them, fantastic. If you don't, well, it's not your cup of tea, I guess.
If you started trying to collect all of them, you don't have a big enough house to put them in because there is over like 1 million of them now.
Well,
yeah,
no, you just collect the series or franchise that you like. You don't have to get all of them. That's insanity.
I'm pretty sure that those things breed when no one's looking.
There are definitely people who collect all of them and they're insane. I'm very much like, hey, if you see one or two things you like, yeah, that's fine, grab them.
I think one of my favorite things about pop finals is still a British YouTuber I watched someone sent him the one of the royal family, and it says very large letters on the back, these are not endorsed or officially representative by the royal family, and I was like, knockoffs of the royals.
Oh wow! You would think they'd be getting in trouble for being knockoff of the royal.
I mean, you can make something in someone's likeness
and sell it. Not really.
I think you can, so long as it's not like their name, because it's probably not called Queen Victoria the Pop Final. It's probably called Reigning Monarch or something like that, or yeah, just the Queen.
I guess yeah, it gets so questionable when you're dealing with likeness.
Yeah, it's one of those things. But I mean, we have been talking for a while. We should probably wrap it up.
We could wrap it up here.
Wrap it up. We've
wrap
gone
it up,
for at least
put a bow on it. Put it underneath the tree.
For exactly an hour and 3 minutes.
We'll put it in the penny saver, stick it into our binder, put it on the shelf, and let it stay there to gain value when the collectors have nostalgias for it in the future.
What? No top loader.
It's not valuable enough for a top loader yet.
Well, yeah, that's why you need to put it in right away.
No, we wait and see if it has value, and then we pull it out, realize that at one point we obviously sat on it while it was in our pocket.
Hate it when I do that.
Yeah. Oh, this sounds like a very real experience.
Ever forget cards in your wallet? I have.
Have you? Yeah, so have I. Haven't you ever had one of those cards, Will, that you look at it and you're like, what did I do to this card? Did I ball it up in my hand and play paper basketball with it?
Again, we already clarified the fact that I didn't collect cards, so no.
One of these days, I'll show you my Blue Eyes collection again, where I collected all of the Blue Eyes I could get my hands on, which included ones I got from kids.
Oh, some of those Blue Eyes, I feel bad for them. Some kids just ate them.
I rescued them. It is like the SPCA for Blue Eyes.
The SPCA for blue eyes.
Ever leave dark bribes in your wallet for a special occasion?
No, I don't have any dark bribes in my wallet for special
No,
occasions.
you don't? I used to.
Yeah, I know. I remember. You told me. I think you showed me that, and you were very proud of yourself.
I was proud of myself.
What the
You shouldn't
fuck
have
is a
been.
dark bribe?
It's a trap card from Yu-Gi-Oh, and he had it in his pocket, and he was like, "In case I ever need to, get out of a sticky situation, I've got my dark bribe." It's like, Kevin, you nerd.
Geek,
Oh,
thank you very much.
This podcast has proven that unequivocally for all of
Oh,
us.
we are the coolest, uncool people in the world. Don't worry about it.
Oh, it's super in to be out.
Have we come up with a name for this yet?
That's your job. This is going on
Isn't
your
it
channel.
Delusional Dithering?
No, we already used that.
I thought that series died. We can just transfer it.
I don't know if we can, man. Using the same name, that shows no creativity. Also, we don't have an outro. How are we ending this?
Goodbye!
Bye.